All right, welcome back to the baseline, and we're gonna do another installment of top 10 greatest, and this time will be first base. And join me, as always, are my two pals, Al and Craig. Guys, how are you?
Awesome, Jordan. Thanks for having us again. Love doing these position lists. And this one, I'm pretty gray already in my hair, but boy, I think it made a few more grays pop out because it was a tough one to whittle down to 10, my man.
Yep, of course. Always, thanks for having me too. Very hard to do, and I have been tweaking this right up until we hit record, pretty much.
I'm still doing it, Craig.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about changing things around,
I
but
still don't know who I like. There are a couple spots I'm going to slide up and down while we're doing this.
Well, yeah, I have to agree with you. First base, I don't know, there's been a lot of great first basemen through the years, and yeah, this one was hard, but and especially to do it to 10, which I
yeah.
don't know. I'm gonna kind of go with you guys. I feel like I should be changing it, but I don't know, I'm pretty confident in my list.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
we're
all
all
it's
we're
all
obviously
valid,
picking all great players.
None of us are
It
going to
is.
have a stinker that's like, I don't think any of us are going to be like, yeah, I want Rico Bronya on this list. You know what I mean?
It's a great podcast. Shout out to the Rico Bronya podcast if you're a Mets
Yes,
fan.
yes, and I love Rico Bronya, by the way, but not a Hall of Fame.
That's awesome. All right, so let's get started. I'm kind of excited to see what you guys have. I
All right.
know the listeners are well, and number 10. I can't believe I have him as number 10. I don't know why I put him in number 10. But I'm gonna go with the most feared slugger in the 60s, and that's going to be Harlem Killebrew is going to be my number 10 guy to kick off our top 10 greatest first baseman.
Love it. Real quick, he is my number. Where did I put him? 8.
Okay,
Harmon
man,
Killebrew is the one I was mentioning that I did not put on the list
I knew that's who you were talking about, Craig, because I
with
had just looked at his
500.
home run number.
Yeah, 573 home runs, an MVP, a nearly 900 OPS did not make my list.
And that's how good this position is.
yeah, absolutely.
His WAR was on the lower side. He's under 900 in the OPS, and he only batted 256, and those are the factors that had me keep him off.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Totally. When you're trying to parse between some like maybe the 15 greatest first basemen of all time, those are the things you look at. I get it, 100%.
But he would be one of the ones that I would have no problem swapping out with like any of my guys in 10, 9, 8, 7. I could swap him for them and be fine with it.
Yeah, right. I get that 100%, my man. 100%. Yeah,
Uh,
Jordan, you have some stuff you want to say about Harmon, and then I'll throw some facts too.
um, yeah, like I mentioned, everyone described him as the most feared slugger in the 60s. Uh, in 59, at the age of 23, he led the AL with 42 home runs and 105 RBIs. And he also had 8 consecutive years, or 8 seasons, sorry, where he hit 40 home runs or better. And a lot of people that I've seen interviews and from opposing pitchers, teammates, they said he was probably the most difficult player to pitch to because it seems like he just hit the ball, every time he was up to bat.
Yeah, no, he was an absolute killer. Now, you know my love for nicknames, so I'm going to give you nicknames when they apply. Now he had two nicknames. One was more popular. I'll give you the less popular one first because it was just a knock on or a rip off of Hank Aaron. They would call him Hammer and Harmon, but the real one was the Killer, and that makes sense when you talk about Jordan's fact about him being one of the most feared sluggers, or maybe the most feared slugger of the '60s. The other cool thing, this is just amazing. He apparently, who knows because we didn't see it, but this guy has the reputation as one of the longest bomb hitters in the history of the game, and he hit one of the biggest bombs ever recorded, a 520 foot bomb at Metropolitan Stadium that still stands as the longest in Twins history, and he hit it in the 60s.
Wow.
Wow.
He listen to this run here. He had 42 home runs, then only 31. Then 46, 48, 45, 49, over 100 RBIs just about every one of those years. And then came back later with another 44 year, another 49 year, and a 39 year.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he
But
was
the
incredible.
48, 45, 49 in a row all led the league.
Yeah, totally, man. And he led the
Mhm.
league 6 times.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he was a
Yeah.
beast. He was absolutely.
As I'm doing, I'm like, he's got to be on my list, but he's not.
Yeah, and I'm assuming. See, and again, WAR is such a nebulous thing because you look at these offensive numbers and how does that not add up to a higher WAR for this guy? I'm assuming he wasn't a very good fielder, but I don't know. You know?
Yeah, his WAR's 60.3. It's okay. He also played. I mean, he's got big numbers, but he's also a little bit of a compiler. He played for 22 years.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
His on
Um,
base was 370, which is solid, which is really good. But some of these other guys we're going to get to have insane on bases. It's one of the things I'm going to focus on as we move on because there's some crazy stuff with on base percentage for some of these guys.
yeah. Although I will say Harmon would have been a darling of today because his on base is 120 points higher than his batting average.
Yep, and I tell you too, he would fit in perfectly today as a slugger today. Absolutely.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
His strikeout numbers, I mean, are not crazy for today, but he led the league a couple times. He still, even back then, always had over 100 most years. And back then, that was a big deal.
That was a lot back then, and they
And he
cared
did
about it.
lead the
Yeah,
league once in strikeouts. So he's kind of, he probably would be a high strikeout, big power guy.
yeah. He would be absolutely perfect for today's game,
Yeah,
and he could
Mhm.
play DH all day long, and nobody would care if he was a
right.
bad fielder, which I'm really not that sure about. Oh, and one other last cool thing about Harmon. He was the first player to hit a home run over the left field roof at Tiger Stadium.
Out of the stadium?
Yep.
Holy shit.
That was in on 8/3/62.
Out of Tiger Stadium? Is
I
that the only ball to ever go out of there?
Well, and I'm not. Having said it, I don't want to. I don't want to misspeak and say it went out fully. I'm not sure if it landed, if it cleared over that opening and then landed on the roof, or if it went out into the parking lot. I'm really not sure. I just know it cleared the left field roof.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man. He had some
Yeah.
famous bombs.
Yeah. I agree with that. And then also he won the MVP in uh 69. I also forgot to mention that.
Yes.
He
Yes.
was the MVP as well. But also, yeah, like you said, he yeah, won most feared hitters. Probably I don't want to say one of the best Twins hitter, but he's definitely up there. Um,
Probably
but
best
he,
Twins power hitter.
yeah, and but yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
he did a lot in his career, and also to play that long. And not really everyone does that man right now.
Real
To
quick,
be
greater twin, Kirby Puckett or him?
oh,
I mean, Harmon
that's gonna
played
be
a
tough.
lot longer, I think, right?
I would
Yeah.
assume, yeah.
And I watched Kirby, so
It's close. It's close.
it's close. Yeah, and by the way, maybe Joe Mauer has to be in that discussion too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh man, I can't even make a call on that one. That's a great question. Whew.
Uh, all right. Whoever wants to go next for number 10, take it away.
Craig,
All right, my number 10 is a real throwback, and his name is Cap Anson.
you know what? That's my
He,
number 10 too, Craig.
oh, that's fantastic. I had to
And
put him in there. I didn't want to leave some of these older guys out. And he played in the 1800s through like the early 1900s. Obviously, no real power to speak of, but he was regarded as the best, like a generational crazy good player back then. Um, did some research. He is responsible for developing a pitching rotation for the first time as a manager,
mm-hmm.
and hand signals for third base and first base coach and players on the field. That
Yeah,
was because of him.
he was excuse me, like a lot of old white ball players. It's a funky legacy because he was also a flaming racist, and
Absolutely, that was my next point. He big racist.
he was maybe the most active player at the time pushing for segregation in baseball.
Yeah,
So not a great human being, but
no, but Ty Cobb isn't either, and he's going to be on my outfield list.
and listen, if we start looking into everybody's lives, we're not going to have a list. You know what I mean?
Right,
If we could stare too closely. So, but that has to be mentioned. You know.
right. But his
But now,
WAR is also 94.4, which is significantly higher than a lot of these guys that that we already talked about and are coming up.
and also Craig, insanely high for that era. Most of those old school guys get penalized in their WAR because I always assumed because of home runs. And Captain, he had 21 home runs 1 year, but other than that, he never hit more than 12. So I, the war
His
the nebulous war thing continues, but for whatever reason he must have been that good, is what I'm trying to say, to have a war that good in that era when they penalize like the war gets lessened for people in that era. So he must have been
right.
really really incredible.
So I guess in the 1800s, because there weren't a lot of teams, they didn't play a lot of games. 1871 was his first year, which, by the way, is just nuts.
Yeah, right. He was born before the Civil War.
uh, but he only played 25 games, and then 46, 52, 55, 69, 66. That must have been what they were playing.
Yeah, I'm assuming too. And then finally, in the 1884, they start playing over 100, and then for the next 10 years or so, he plays anywhere between 112 and 146.
Last thing for me, uh, batting averages year by year: 415, 398, 335, 325, 356, 337, 341, a low 317, 337, 399, 362, 308, 335, 310, 371, 347, 344, 342, 312, and then finally he goes under 300 at the age of, does it give his age? 39 years old. He bats 270.
Incredible. I mean, absolutely
Yeah.
incredible. This guy
Or
was.
290, not even 270.
Oh, was it 290? Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. He was a early pillar of the game for sure. He had his
Yep.
issues, but he was a astounding guy. Now, on the good side of him too, he had this relationship with Albert Spalding, who eventually started the White Sox. And have you ever heard of the Spalding Guide?
No.
I remember hearing about this like it was an old school like baseball handbook sort of thing, kind of like a Beckett book if you were a card collector for playing the game.
Which
In
I
fact,
definitely had a lot of Beckett magazines.
yeah,
I had a
my house is
subscription.
littered with Beckett books.
I had a
And
subscription.
so they basically created and published a book that taught people how to play different parts of the game and strategies and different things like that.
Yeah, he's contributed a lot to strategy. Like I said, responsible for the pitching rotation and hand signals and signals between players and first and third base coaches.
Yeah, incredible, incredible. So there was a lot of he contributed a lot to the game. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was definitely worth mentioning, and he should be on this list. The war made me want to put him a lot higher, but there were just so many people on this list that, and it's old school's tough to calibrate sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But no, that's insane that the consistency he had in at least in the batting average until his later years, which that's very like awesome to hear. He just stayed consistent, hitting wise, and then also like you guys mentioned the strategy, which I find awesome because that's a huge part of the game right now.
No doubt about it, man. And last thing, I would be remiss. Cap is his nickname, stood for captain. People might assume that, might not. But his full name is Adrian Constantine. Since we don't have a nickname, I'll give you his real name.
That's awesome. Uh, all right, that's pretty cool. I like that. And that was both of your guys' number
Muted.
10s, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
Cap was for captain. But last thing I know, I said last thing last time, but 1871 to 1890, 300 every year. That's
Yeah.
19
Wow.
years straight.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Go.
insane. That really is
No,
incredible.
that's uh
But
huh.
that's why I had to put him on the list, even though he's a trash human being.
Yeah, I agree with that 1,000%. And the last thing I'll say, last incredible stat: 3,435 hits in the 1800s.
Yeah, when he was, and he didn't play 100 games till he was 35 years old. Or no,
That's yeah,
30,
right, exactly.
32 years old. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's wild. So, all right, very good,
All right. Yeah, I like this. Ooh, go up to a good start. Um,
awesome.
so here's my number nine. This was a guy I was considering taking off the list, but I couldn't. I don't have the heart to do it. And but I put him up there as one. I was one of the greats, even though he had a short career. And that is Donnie Baseball. Don Mattingly is my number nine.
Love it. He's not on my list, but I completely understand it, and I was hoping he would be on somebody's. His short prime was as good as anybody's.
Well, yes, as the Don Mattingly fanboy I am, he he it was a short prime, like you said, but it wasn't just a prime. It was best in baseball, period, prime. Like for 3 years, he was the best player in baseball,
Oh no, he was astounding.
but it was only 3 years.
Right.
But that, I mean, his MVP year, the year about he had 45 home runs, 152 RBIs, Gold Glove, great fielder as well. It just, just a shame with the injuries, just completely shortened his career. But it was fun while it lasted, and he was the best in the game for again a very short time, about 2 to 3 years. But at that time, when if you lived through it, which I did, there was no doubt he was the best player in baseball, or at least the best hitter in baseball.
Yeah, he was something, man. And that's a shame about the back injury. The lasting image of Mattingly for me is just watching him stretch out in the dugout trying to get ready for another at bat. And it's he was so good. He was so good. I hate injuries, and I hate that it took another good 10 years away from him. But he was insanely awesome.
My favorite Mattingly memory. Well, me and your father, Jordan, Joe. Me and Joe went to one game a year for 2 years in the early '90s, late '80s. I think it was early '90s, to be honest. And he was still playing. And the 2 year for those 2 years in a row, they voted on for whoever did it voted on the best games at every home park for the home team every year. And the two games we went to won 2 years in a row.
Wow.
Those out of all 81 games, we went to only two of them, and both of them were the game of the year at the park.
That's incredible and insane
Nice.
odds.
And one of them was Donnie got a game-winning hit to win the game in the bottom of the ninth.
Ah, that's so cool, man. That is so cool.
And if you want to hear a loud crowd, just call up Don Mattingly's one home run in the postseason against Seattle at home. That place, I'm surprised it didn't crumble. It was so loud just through the TV. I couldn't imagine being there because
And
that
we
was the
talked about
hero. That was the guy. They were waiting for years for him to get to the playoffs. He finally does, and he's at the tail end. He's barely batting 300 anymore. He's only hitting like 20 home runs, and then he hits one in the playoffs. And he batted, by the way, over 400 those playoffs. Man,
incredible. Yeah, that's what I was. Yes, yeah, because he when he finally got there, he delivered.
yep.
Yep, I agree.
Did he make your
Still,
list, Craig? I didn't catch that.
Oh no, no, he did not. He was going to be in the honorable mentions when we do that. Probably before we usually do that between like 2 and 1 before we do
Yep.
announce number one. We usually do some honorable mentions. He was going to be in that,
Yeah, he's on mine too.
as Harmon Killebrew was also going to be in that.
Right on. I have a massive list for that too. So, well, I figure some of them will get taken care of by you two guys, and the ones that don't, we'll talk about, like you said.
Yep.
yeah. Um, another thing by uh, Don Mangley, and then we'll go on. I don't know. I read this. But, in '87, he set records by hitting
Oh yeah,
home runs in 8 consecutive games,
and
and
then the Grand Slam streak too.
yeah, hit 6 grand slams in one season, which that
That's
that's
crazy.
Wow.
kind that yeah, that's great by me. And then also I know it's something small, but end up being the hitting coach for the Yankees um, in '03, and also the hitting coach in '08 and '09 for the Dodgers until he ended up becoming the manager after Joe Torre. And then also managed the Marlins, which I didn't realize it was this long, but he ended up managing the Miami Marlins for 10 seasons.
Really?
Yeah, he managed them from 16 till 2022. So
I
he
didn't realize it
was,
was that long either.
um,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it
And then he went to
so
Toronto.
yeah, and then he went to Toronto as like a bench coach. I believe he's or he's something with the Toronto Blue Jays. I can't think of on top of my head.
That's really cool. Yeah, hopefully he gets another shot at some point because it's you can't judge anybody off trying to manage that Marlins team.
Yeah,
Isn't his son somebody now? Isn't he GM or something?
his he's the GM for the Phillies.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Phillies.
yeah. That's right. He just got
Yeah.
promoted, right? Isn't that it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, because he took over for Sam Fuld.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
All right.
I was reading about it. And I was like, wait a second, is he related to Don? I had no idea there was a Mattingly in the Phillies organization. That's freaking awesome. I'll take
Yeah.
it.
Which they is that kind of because they brought it up? Because then I remember I was watching an interview with him, and they were mentioning Don, and they actually said that they knew how special of a player was, that even for the family when his career got short, they're like, he never showed it, how much his career got cut short, but he was always just like a good father. But they're like, as a family, even they were heartbroken because they knew this was something special that their dad loved, which you know I guess props to Don Mattingly not having an effect even his family. He was always, they say he was always a family man outside, but just never really talked about it. He was quiet about his family, but he did love his family, even through the tough
Yeah.
times.
He's a baseball lifer.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Yep, he's a real deal.
All right, so you guys want to go for number 9?
All
All
right.
right. Well, for me, this might seem odd, and I did not think he would make my list. But then you look at the numbers, and I am going to put him in there. He's a 956 OPS, which helped him, and a 73 WAR. And his name is Jim Tomei.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Yep. He's on my list.
he's on mine too.
Let me see what number I ended up putting Tommy on mine.
Tomei. I would say
Tommy the
Tomei,
homie.
but it's Tomei. Jim
Uh,
Tomei hit 612 home runs, and he had 30 or more home runs 12 seasons.
hmm
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
Yeah. He put up some numbers, man. Some
yeah.
big, big, big
How's
numbers.
Uh,
this? 38, 40, 30, 33, 37, 49, 52, 47, and 42. That's a streak he went on from 95 to 2003, 2004.
Yeah, man. Nah. Tommy's a freaking beast, and he was one of the most physically imposing guys to ever step on a football field. Yeah, he looks like a football player on a baseball field.
Yeah. Never won an MVP. Oh, and by the way, his on base, over 400. 400 is like the benchmark. That is a great on base. If you can get close to that 370, 380, you're doing good. His on base for his career was 402.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He is 100, almost 130 points over his batting average. Incredible.
In 1995, his on base was 438. In a 96, it was 450.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome.
yep. And then also he's ranked eighth all time in home runs with 612,
Yep.
and he's also one of six players that totaled 1,700 walks and 1,000 and over 1,000 RBIs. The other ones are Ruth, uh, Ted Williams, Carl Yastrzemski, Bonds, and Mellott.
Wow.
Yeah, that is some legendary company to be keeping.
Mm.
And he was
And
6 on my list, by the way. I just finally figured it out.
you know what? He was seven on mine. So
Right on, right on.
yeah, but also yeah, just a great player. Played on a lot of great teams too. Uh, one comes to mind is that Cleveland team.
The
They,
'90s Cleveland
uh,
team. Yeah.
yeah, and then obviously made his way to Philadelphia, where he again just played some on great, just really great teams, and he was always a great presence for everyone that he was there for.
Yeah, and you guys said a lot of great stuff about Tommy. It's all correct and awesome and perfect, and the guy is a beast. And here's what I want to say about Tommy as a Philly fan: he changed the course of a franchise by signing there. I don't know, being outside as Yankee guys, I don't know if you guys even remember just how bad it was in Philly through the '90s, after the '93 World Series, until Jim Thome signed there in I think it was '03 or '04. Um, they had not made the playoffs since '93. They were a disaster. And they were having a hard time getting anybody to come there because they had a reputation of being cheap. They were a big market franchise acting like a small market franchise for the better part of a decade.
Yeah, he signed in '03.
And okay, thank you.
And they just missed
And
that Chicago White Sox team, too. They won it in '05, right? And he signed with the White Sox in '06.
that was a trade because the
Oh,
Phillies
okay.
had Ryan Howard coming up. And
Right.
Tomey had unbelievable first 2 years in Philly, then got hurt his third year, and that opened the door for Ryan Howard. And then they traded him for Gio Gonzalez and Aaron Rowand.
Wow.
My God. So wow,
so
wow, okay.
yeah, but that signing, I can't overstate it. That was as big to the Phillies organization as signing Dr. J was to the Sixers in the '70s. It was massive.
You know what? You could probably say the same thing with I don't know, getting a little off topic here, but you could also say the same thing when the White Sox traded Fernando Tatis for James Shields.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. Think about how that worked for the White Sox.
Yeah, we could do a whole podcast on the like crazy trades. That would be really fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Oh
love
my
that.
God.
Yeah,
Um.
for the Phillies, he had 47 and 42 home runs. The year he had 47, he had 131 RBIs. He had a great year.
Incredible, incredible. He could have won the MVP that year. I don't know who won it. I don't know where he finished,
I could
but
tell you that right now. He was fourth
fourth.
in the MVP voting.
Yeah. So some people had some really good years, but you could certainly give him credit for it there. But yeah, no, he was. And listen, this guy was so imposing at the plate. He is a monster of a man. Like I'm trying to think if I've ever is there a bigger baseball player that ever played? Like this guy's a massive, massive man.
He's not that big. I mean, he's big. He's 6'4". I thought he was taller than that. He's only 6'4".
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's. But he was wider.
Yeah, I mean, he was 250 pounds.
Yeah.
Uh, and actually, one more stab about Jim Thome. I don't know if you guys said this, so if I do, please correct me. But he has the most walk-off home runs in MLB history with 13.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's an awesome stat.
That's a great stat. By the way, in terms of size, you're forgetting the guy playing right now.
Who's
I
that?
mean, Judge is 6'8", 280.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, but he doesn't. It's funny because he is a huge guy, but he wasn't. He's not as wide as Tommy was.
No, he's more slender, but for some, well,
He's built
uh,
like
the,
Tony
the
Atlas.
well the height too. The 6'8" is a big
He's built. He's
caveat.
almost like got the Rick Rude wasp waist. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And and Stanton's got to be about that size too.
Yeah, they're big boys, but I'm telling you,
Yeah.
if there was a guy wider from shoulder to shoulder than Jim Tomey, I'd like to see who it was. And he didn't have an excess pound on him, so at 250, he was a solid man.
Yes.
Hmm. Oh,
Do
so
I have any other fun things about Tomey? Oh! I almost forgot the nickname thing, and this is might be my favorite nickname of this whole thing. All right, he had three nicknames that of any note. One is the Pride of Peoria, being from Peoria, Illinois. The Tominator, since he played in the '90s and Schwarzenegger was around, and those movies were big. But the best one, and this one came from former White Sox GM Ken Williams after that trade, and he only said it to Jim Thome. But Jim Thome then made him make it public because he liked it so much. And I'm going to curse. The nickname is Jim fucking Thome. I
like
never heard that before. Had you ever heard? Either of you guys ever heard that?
no,
No, never heard that. That's fantastic.
Kenny
that's
Williams gave
awesome.
him that nickname, and that was Tome's nickname that he wanted to have used for the rest of his career.
I would too. That'd be the one I pick.
Yeah, I'm not.
He's a bad
Yeah,
man.
why not? Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, I love it. All right, that's all I got on Thome. Good one. Good one.
So, who was your number? Wait, Jordan, who was your number 9?
Mine was down Mattingly.
Right, and Al's yours. We
Oh, I
haven't
didn't
done
do
that.
mine yet. Okay, here
Yeah.
we go.
Hey,
So listen, this guy, man, I wanted him to be higher, and I'm curious to see where you guys have him, or if maybe he didn't even make the list. I have no idea, given all the great players out here. But this is a guy that I never saw play, but much like Eddie Matthews when we were talking about third baseman. This is a guy I read a ton about. I felt like I watched him, even though I didn't. And he's one of my favorites ever, Willie McCovey.
Oh,
oh,
did not make my list either.
And I
Um,
understand why. You know, the
him
WAR
and
is
Killebrew.
64.4.
Yep. Real quick, I just want
Please.
to. Harmon Killebrew's average 256, McCovey 270, home runs 573 to 521, RBIs 1584 to 1555, OPS 889 to 884, and both won an MVP, and neither one of them made my list.
And by the way, they both won. They won the MVP in the same year in different
Yep,
leagues.
yep.
69.
Unbelievable. His numbers. He's definitely worthy of being on the list. He's one of the ones I could definitely switch out and be fine with.
Yeah, and listen, I get it because there's a few guys I could have switched him out for and been like, okay, but since he had a childhood love, he was going to make my list. So here's some stuff about Willie, and then you guys feel free to go nuts if you have anything. I'll start with a nickname. He had, and I remember this as a kid reading about it. His nickname was Stretch because now we just talked about Jim Thome being 6'4" and that not being that big anymore, but back then he was considered massive at 6'4", and that's hence the name Stretch. Lifetime. Oh, you read all that stuff. Never mind. His OPS was 889, like you said. He won the MVP in 69. He won the Rookie of the Year in 59. And he won. This is an interesting one. He won the Rookie of the Year only playing 52 games.
Wow.
Yeah,
yep.
his stats were really good, but it was just an interesting. I don't remember anybody ever winning the Rookie of the Year, winning or playing that few amount of games.
That's not even a third,
No, no.
or
It's a
about a
it's,
third.
it's an astonishingly small amount of games to have won the award. I forget I have the stats somewhere. He batted like 330 something, and but it must have been a light year for rookies, and they were that impressed by his short stint.
Yep.
But what else do I have about Willie? Oh, 3 NL home run crowns. His 18 grand slams were second only to Lou Gehrig at the time of his retirement.
Wow.
And this tells you how feared he was. We talked about how feared Harmon Killebrew was in the American League. Well, this is how feared Willie McCovey was in the National League. His 45 intentional walks in 1969 and that's the year he won the MVP. He still managed to put up those counting stats with 45 intentional walks, by the way. Were the most all time at the time, and that record stood for 33 years, and I bet both of you can guess who broke it. Yep.
Yep.
Barry Bonds. So it took Barry Bonds and his shin shield and elbow shield and steroids and monster years to break that record.
And his absolutely ginormous dome
Head.
piece.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Um,
it. That's all I got on Willie. If anybody has more on him,
uh, so Willie did make my list.
he did or
He was
didn't? I'm
like,
sorry, Jordan.
oh, he did.
Oh, great.
I actually have him as number 6.
Oh, I love it. Good.
Um, and the one thing, actually, it's kind of funny that we're doing this list. If today is actually because I saw it earlier today on social media, would have been his 87th birthday. So
Oh,
happy
cool.
birthday to Willie McCovey. Um,
That's cool.
and but yeah, no, I like Willie McCovey is to me one of the best players besides Willie Mays to play for the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned all the things that he did, and I don't know. I'm even rereading the numbers and having you read them too. It's still kind of insane that he has done this. Like you said, like 52 games to win Rookie of the Year. That's still is processing through my head. Like wow,
Yeah, right, right.
because no one has ever done that. I don't think anyone else has on the top of my head.
Not that
But
I
yeah,
know
no,
of.
he was definitely one of the greatest to play the game, and especially great at first base as well. Which to be on this first baseman's, I think that's like one of the many guys you think of, and his legacy was just so good
Yep.
throughout his career.
Uh, I
Right.
apologize for not doing this before now. I'll do it moving forward for the rest of the way. But I
Mm-hmm.
was looking at a lot of guys' playoff averages, playoffs performances. He had two World Series. He had a World Series appearance. He struggled mightily with one home run and a batting average of 200. But then he came back and was in the playoffs in 1971 at age 33. He had two home runs, had 6 RBIs, a 429 average, a 556 on base percentage, and an OPS of 1400.
Holy man! I mean, that's one of the
Wow.
best ever. It's
Yep,
got to be one of the best postseasons ever, right there. That's amazing.
yep. And even with the poor first time around, the second time around was so dominant. His OPS for the 2 years, his playoff average for OPS is still over 1,000.
That's amazing. Wow, wow, that's really cool. Yeah,
And I
No,
old
that
meant
Dave
to
that
do
is
Fresh.
that
great.
with a lot of guys because a lot of these guys, their playoff numbers are insane.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. I forget to do that sometimes. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, no, wow, that's good. That's awesome.
Are we
Um,
moving to what is it? Where are
number
we on now? 8?
8, yes.
Yeah, and my
Uh,
8 was Harmon Killebrew. So if anybody has an 8, feel free.
so my number 8 is gonna be I'll go nicknames. I'll take Al's stick right here.
Ah, love it.
Is gonna be the Big Hurt. Frank Thomas is my number 8.
Oh, I love it. Okay,
All right, he's my number 6.
okay. And I listen. He's going to be on my DH list.
Okay.
And the
Yeah.
only reason, and I'll just real quick, the only reason I did that is because he played more than enough games at first base for you guys to have him on your list. I'm 100% down with it. Totally cool. He just played more at DH, 971 to 1308. So that's why I went that way. But it's understandable either way.
All right. I mean, his numbers are staggering.
Oh, his numbers
Yeah.
are. He's got to be on the top 10 of one of the lists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
So yeah, you guys take it, man. That's awesome. I love that he made somebody's list. I
Oh,
was hoping we talk about him.
yeah. What can you not say about uh, Frank Thomas? Final numbers here, at least from what I have. 521 home runs, batted 301, over 1,000 RBIs.
Well
Um,
over. He had 1,700.
yeah. Oh yeah, 1,704. So I can't read my own handwriting. 15 years with the White Sox. Um, 93 MVP where he hit 371, 41 home runs, 128 RBIs, which was good. And then what else do I have? Oh, started in his career by playing both football and baseball in college, but then end up getting injured in football. So then just tried, and then so he just became a first baseman, and helping his college team end up winning the Southern Conference final, and was the MVP in his junior year before he ended up becoming the seventh pick in the '89 draft with the White Sox.
Wow, unbelievable. Uh, he he led the league in walks quite a bit. He led the league in on base percentage quite a bit. One year he had 38 home runs, 101 RBIs, 106 runs, 109 walks, batted 353 with a 487 on base and an OPS of over 1200.
That's amazing, man.
Now, real quick, I some of these numbers, his on base percentage streak is stupid. From 1990, when he was 22 years old as a rookie, 454, 453, 439, 426, 487, 454, 459, 456.
It's insane. It's
And
insane.
a time when over 400 is hard to come by right now, he was not only over 400, well over 400, 9 years in a row.
Yeah,
And
that's
yeah, and like in one, two, three, four, five, in six of those nine, he was over 450.
yeah, that's incredible. Incredible. And right
Wow.
from the get go, too,
Yeah.
right from the get go. Incredible.
Yeah, and then then like you mentioned, injuries really got to him in '05. Actually, I don't remember watching the series, but I guess so many things happened. But was down to 31 games in '05. Wasn't on the roster when the White Sox won the World Series. Which I ended up finding interesting. He didn't even play a single game.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, that's
and then just ended up through his time with Oakland and Toronto was just never the same again, and had to be uh, sorted into the designated hitter role every day.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And he was
Yeah,
still
his
scary all
playoff.
the way to the end, but he had an unbelievable first 10 years or so.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
His playoff performances weren't anything to write home about. Unfortunately, he struggled a little bit in the playoffs. He had 3 years, three different times he was in. Um, got 68 plate appearances in the postseason, batted 224. But but his on base was still 440, so he was still taking his walks. 440, and he did hit three homers, but
Incredible.
224 average. So other than the average, he was pretty much what he's always been.
That's funny, man. So then his on base was 200 points above his batting average. That's
Yep.
incredible.
OPS 974 for his career, 73.8 whip, 73.8 WAR.
Yeah, yeah. This guy's just one of the best of all time. And fun little side note: you remember we used to talk about my podcast that is now over. That I the bring him out, and my partner Joel Richardson met the Big Hurt in Costa Rica.
Wow.
Wow.
And he was running sprints. He met him at the gym at the hotel that they were staying at, and he was running sprints with sandbags around his neck. At however old, this was 2 years ago.
What?
He's 55 years old.
Exactly.
Holy shit.
So the Hurt is still a beast.
Yeah, 6'5", 240. If we're gonna talk some size
Talk
too,
big
he.
guys. Yeah, man. It was probably like him and Tommy were probably the two biggest guys of the '90s, huh?
Well, what about would you consider Randy Johnson because he was so tall?
Well, tall and big are different.
Randy Johnson was 6'10".
Yeah, I'm talking because but he was also the he was the build of Kip from Napoleon Dynamite.
Yes.
So yeah. When you're right, he is tall, but when I'm saying big, I'm factoring in like when I talk about Tommy, I'm talking about his shoulder and chest span.
Yeah, Frank Thomas is probably give him a run for his money for the
Yeah, right
shoulders.
there with him. Right there with him. Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Yeah, those two. If I'm starting a football team with baseball players, they're my first two picks.
Yeah, probably. All right. So I believe Craig, you'll be your number 8, right?
Yep. I'm interested if he makes any of your lists. And my number 8 is Eddie Murray.
Oh yeah, he's on mine. What number did I end up with? Hey, Eddie's number 5 on my list.
Nice.
I love Eddie Murray, man. Go to town. I can't wait to talk about Eddie.
You know
Well,
what? He did not make my list.
And it's
it's
understandable.
understandable, yeah.
Yep. It's
The reason what did it for me is he's in the 3,000 hit 500 home run club.
yes, it's a
That is a
rare thing.
very exclusive club. 3,000 hits and 500 homers. There's not many, but he's in it, and that's what sealed it for me to put him in here. 68.7 WAR and a OPS 836. But oh yeah, over 500 home runs. Never was a bad batting average either. He batted 287 for his career. I like Eddie Murray quite a
Yeah.
bit, and he's did he win an MVP?
I have it here.
No, he won Rookie of the Year, but he never won MVP. He came in second twice.
Yes, that's right. Good call. Yep. Yep.
But anyway, yeah, Eddie Murray definitely big fan, and he had 4 playoff appearances. Actually, yeah, had a decent number of plate appearances in the playoffs, 186, and he batted 260, about 258. Had 9 home runs, 25 RBIs, on base of 360, and an OPS of about 900. Pretty much, he was the same whether it was regular season or playoffs.
Well, and Craig, that makes sense because you know what his nickname was?
Steady
Steady
Eddie.
Eddie.
Yep, and he was. He was very steady. But the 3,500 club, that's crazy.
That's massive. That's massive. And I'll throw on top of that, Craig, his RBI total is insane. It is 10th all time, 1,917
Yeah,
RBI.
he almost had 2,000.
Yeah, 10th all time at any position. That's incredible. So yeah, Eddie, and listen, he was he was a mysterious. I'm curious how, because you were watching, being a fan of a team in his division. To me, I'm a fan of a team in a different league, but living near there. To me, he was very mysterious. I don't think in all his time playing, I don't think I ever heard him talk.
You know what? I don't think I did either.
I don't know what his voice sounds like to this day. And he was one of those guys. I don't know if he didn't like talking to the media, or if it was just because back then it didn't take a whole lot to not to avoid the media. You know what I mean? It wasn't like 24-hour day stuff like it is now.
Yeah, if you wanted to avoid him, you could.
Yeah, totally. And he was just that kind of guy, I guess. But so he was a mysterious, but he was just so good for so long. He stayed at Steady Eddie for such a big chunk of his career. Also, by the way, he has the most games played at first base in Major League history, 2,413.
Oh, did not know that. That's a
So
great number.
yeah, so those couple, what you said, Craig, combined with a couple of those other things, and I had to put him on. Plus, I remember watching him, and I know, like, I remember how good he was, and what a
I mean,
scary.
it's absolutely crazy that his 162 game average basically works out to be what he does every year. Like
Right.
like he's so steady. It's right on par with a number of his years. They're all within 4 or 5 home runs, one way or the other. They're all within a few RBIs, one way or the other. Runs, batting averages around the same. His 162 game average over a 21-year career, you could pick any one of those years, and it's going to be right near that average.
It's incredible. That's so cool you said that, because the last thing I was going to say, and it ties right, it goes exactly with what you just said, is he was incredibly productive at a young age, 21, and he was still that productive at 39 and 40 years old. It's incredible. He was steady
Yeah,
Eddie to the extreme.
crazy.
And he was a great defender, by the way. He was a plus
Yep,
plus defender.
yep. Now, you did not have him on your list, Jordan?
I did not.
Did you consider him?
Uh, yes, I did. Also, this is, I don't know if you guys said this. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I don't know. But when he was around the time he was playing, he was only the third player after Hank Aaron, and Willie Mays to record 3,000 hits and 500 home runs.
Yeah, 3,500 club.
Boom.
That's
Yep.
is the reason why I have him on the list.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
insane. Yeah, but no, he is one of the greatest. I am a little mad I didn't put him on my list, but but like I said, I did
By the way,
consider
there's
him.
another person that's got 3,000 hits and 500 home runs that's on my list.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Oh wait, I
okay.
think I might know who that is.
It doesn't. We'll get to him. We're getting to
I
him.
do know who that is. I like it. All right. Um, okay, what's next? Are we good there with that?
Number
Think
8,
so.
yeah.
What
Let's
was that?
go to
Okay.
Our
number
no.
7.
Well, my number seven was taken. I had Jim Tomey.
Okay.
Do you still
So
have a
then,
seven, Craig?
I still have 7. Do you have a 7?
I still have a seven.
You can go first.
Okay, well, it's going to be the guy that I think you were just talking about, and
Oh, if
that
it is, then it's the same because he's my number 7 too.
would that be Miguel Cabrera?
Absolutely.
Bam, my man.
And he's got, part of the 3,000 hits, 500 home run club. He also won a triple crown, 2 MVPs, a 901 OPS, 67.7 WAR, 500 home runs, 1,800 RBIs. What else do you want?
I mean, come on, right? The only thing I had to make sure of is that I was going to consider him a first baseman because I remember him starting his career as a third baseman, which seems so long ago, right?
Yep,
yeah,
But he played the vast majority of his games at first base, so it was an easy call. Um, but yeah, no, just one of the best players that I've ever seen play through their whole career. He obviously he fell off towards the end, but my God, he played until he was 41 or whatever. So he's going to do that. But he was great for a long time, a long, long time.
absolutely.
yeah. You know, yeah, like what you said. What can you say about him? Ended up winning the Triple Crown in 2012. First player to do that since '67.
Since Yaz, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
and then all time Venezuelan player uh, in home runs and base hits, and then like you guys said, two-time MVP in 2012 and 13, which I think people always like those years because it was always who was better, him or Trout. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, even though he, like you said, he struggled towards the end of his career, he was still always consistent. Still kind of crazy that he won one World Series in his career.
Well, how about
Um,
this? How about he's a 20-year-old rookie and he wins the World Series?
Right. That was the
yeah,
year. Yes.
He hit, and then as a 20-year-old rookie, he hit 4 home runs in that World Series, 12 RBIs, and had not the World Series in the playoffs. Um, and about let's see what else. OPS around 800. 4 home runs and 12 RBIs, 11 runs in 17 games, and and never got back.
Isn't that wild?
yeah,
He might have gotten back, but he didn't win it again. He got it back. I think he got back with Detroit.
right, yeah.
Yep. But he's got 13 postseason home runs. His postseason numbers are all awesome, just like his regular numbers.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, he was. I mean, he's one of the best hitters I've ever seen. No doubt about it.
Yep.
No doubt about it. I don't have. Oh, and by the way, not the most exciting nickname. We all know it, Miggy.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, and also future Hall of Famer within the next couple years. So that'll
First
be
ballot. He should be. He should be 100%, but he won't be
oh,
because reporters are idiots.
yeah,
And now I wanted to stay that way because I want Mariano to be the only one with 100% forever, forever and
Oh,
ever.
I love it.
probably yeah.
Well,
Uh,
you don't have to worry because the reporters will not stop being idiots.
yeah, that is true. That is true. Uh, All right, so that was your guys' number seven. Mine was taken, uh, but so was my number six. I had McCovey. So if anyone else wants to do number six, go ahead.
Well, my
I
number six
had
was
Tony.
taken.
If you have one, Craig.
No, I had Frank Thomas.
Number five. I had Eddie Murray at number five, so I'm out for five as well.
My number five was also taken. I had Miggy as number five.
Nice, right on.
All right, now my number five has not been taken.
Okay.
We talked about this before that he is going to, even though he played in other positions, where we can use him wherever, if as long as we don't use him on more than one list
Hmm?
individually, like on our own. So Pete Rose is my number five.
He's my number four, Craig.
I mean, what else can you say? 4,286 hits.
Yeah,
Exactly.
When you go to the Hall of Fame for getting 3,000 hits, there's people that have a good career with 1,200 hits, and that's how much over 3,000 he went.
Yeah, that's incredible.
he
Incredible.
led them. He led in hits seven times, and again, another standard number for good seasons with hits is 200. Right?
Hmm.
He had over
hmm,
200 hits 10 times.
Incredible. Incredible. Tied with Ichiro for first all time.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean his power numbers, only 160 home runs, is 784 OPS. So those are why I can't put him any higher than this. But
Yep.
the hits are just undeniable. Absolute shame he's not in the Hall of Fame still. I've always
Completely
been
agree.
on his side for that.
Same. 100%. It's silly. It's got to end. Hope it's a shame it took him dying, but hopefully that'll get it done.
Yep. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they were waiting for him to die to do it.
I wouldn't be either because he
Yeah,
did. He was a difficult man to deal with, and I love him. I was
he,
on his side 100%, but he didn't make it easy.
but
And I
the
loved when he
thing
would
that
go to the WWE and Kane would tombstone him every year. That was fantastic.
That's so awesome. I love that he used to set up an autograph stand right across the street from the Hall of Fame every time they did the inductions because they wouldn't
Yeah.
let him in, and he
Yep.
would sit there and charge for autographs at the Hall of Fame.
It
you
was
know it,
fantastic when the first time Kane tombstone him. He was in Boston talking about Bill Buckner. He's like, I left tickets for Buckner at the gate, but he couldn't bend over and pick him up. He was a total heel, and then Kane came out and drilled him. It was funny as hell.
That's so
that's
awesome.
pretty funny. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think they should have let him in even when he was alive because what he did, everyone is doing now. With gambling. So, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
really, all the time. So he should have been left in, and
Well, I
this
don't
is
think it was really the gambling. It was the fact that he gambled on his team, and he was the manager, so he can control it to a degree.
yeah, but still, like you still they
Because
should
even
have.
now, even with all the legalized gambling, if you're a manager or if you're a player, you can't gamble on your team or your. I don't even know if you can gamble on the sport.
Yeah, some basketball
Yeah,
players got in trouble for betting
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
team.
So you can. I don't
yeah,
even think you could gamble on another team in baseball if you're a baseball
right.
player.
But I remember I told the story once, but I'll tell it again. Joe Morgan, after his stint with ESPN, uh, ended up working for the Hall of Fame. Either he was the assistant to the president, or he was something. And this was around the time when like Bonds and Clemens, we thought one that they had a shot because they were like 69% votes and 68. And Joe Morgan, on public television, I think it was like the MLB Network, and then he said it again on ESPN. Said, I know I talked to 10 well-known Hall of Famers. I won't name them. He's like, but I talked to 10 well-known Hall of Famers, and they're like, if Bonds and Clemens got in, would you sit right next to them or sit right behind them and welcome into our family?
Mm-hmm.
And all 10 said absolutely not.
Hmm.
They said, well, what happens if Pete Rose was in there? They said absolutely. They said absolutely. I would be front row and center, standing right next to
Right on. Right on.
him.
Yeah, listen, there's no doubt he did something wrong. It's just that So what? Let's the Hall of Fame's for different thing. It's for great players, not questions of character. If we're going on things that like that, there's a whole where we start with Ty Cobb, Cap Anson, and we're moving a whole wing of the freaking Hall of Fame. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
And the thing is, if you go to the Hall of Fame, which I did go, he's all over it. Like he's there. His record is there.
Oh, I didn't know
His
that, Craig. I
yeah,
haven't been
he's
there since
all
I was a
over it. The
kid.
only thing he doesn't have is the plaque.
I haven't been there since I was 12 years old, so I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, he just doesn't
Yep.
have the plaque. But other than that, he's in there. You could see stuff about him.
Well, that's good to know
Mm.
because I didn't know if they were just ignoring him or what. So that's
No,
awesome.
no,
That's good.
no. It's not.
Yeah,
It's not a Chris Benoit situation.
Right on, right on.
I
Totally,
mean,
totally.
there's guys who've done steroids are in there. Hell, the commissioner of the steroid era is in the Hall of
Yeah,
Fame.
right, right. Nice, nice.
So come on, guys, we
Well,
gotta
the
get Pete
steroid
Rose in the
guys,
Hall.
there's guys I think they got in before we realized, because once we realized all those guys aren't in,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Clemens isn't in, Bonds isn't in, A Rod's not in. All
Yeah. Is there
McGuire,
anybody?
Yeah.
Is
so all
anybody
those
in the
guys.
Hall of Fame that actually got caught?
I
Ortiz.
mean, they're yeah. There's also there's also a ding.
I
I
mean,
can't, like Bagwell was accused, but
right?
wasn't really
Wasn't
or
really
wasn't
proven.
yeah. So
But the
Yeah,
thing
now
is too, like, did any of us consider McGuire for this?
he's on my list of just of outside looking in because
See, I
I
didn't
just
consider because I've been saying the whole time I'm not putting steroid guys on, and I haven't done it on any list, so I didn't even consider him.
and I'm sticking with that. But and his numbers were just so good that I put him on the outside looking in. Just, but I would never put him on it.
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
And before we get too far from Pete, I got a couple more things here because there's a lot you can talk about with Pete. He was just
Oh
so
yeah.
amazing.
Oh yeah. By
Um,
the way, Charlie Hustle, the nickname.
Charlie Hustle, another one of the greatest of all time for sure.
That's a great nickname.
Yeah. Now to go
Mhm.
with some of the stats you were reading, Craig, you talked about his 10 200 hit seasons, which is astonishing. He also batted over 300 16 times. He made the All-Star team at 5 different positions. His three check this out. He has more singles than like 100 Hall of Famers have hits. He has 3,215 singles.
Jeez.
That's insane. That's my favorite stat of the whole thing right there. But there's more. His 44 game hit streak in 1978 is the third longest ever, behind DiMaggio and Wee Willie Keeler.
He's got a great. He's got a pretty good WAR too. 79.5. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's why I put him as high as I did because I wasn't sure where I was going to put him on this list. Because the hit king thing is big for me, but then also he doesn't hit for I didn't know where I was going to put him, but that WAR helped justify him as a top fiver for me for sure, and I ended up at number 4.
Don't forget 3 World Series, 3 World Series MVP, Big Red Machine, all that.
Oh,
Batted 321 in the playoffs, 388 on base, over 800, a better OPS in the postseason than in the regular season. He even hit 5 homers on a guy who doesn't hit a lot of home runs.
right,
Yeah,
right.
he had a really really good postseason career. Seems pretty consistent with his regular season career as well.
Yeah, he did the thing, man. He really did. Three more little stats, real quick, or three little things. He played the most games in Major League Baseball history 3,562. Yaz is second at 3,308, so over 200 more games. His 1,453 at bats are the most in Major League Baseball. Only 30 players in the history of the game have at least 10,000 at bats, and he has
Wow.
over 14,000.
He played 24 years.
Yeah, and he played
Yeah.
a lot of games, though, almost all those years,
Yep, and yeah, his plate appearance. He had 15,000 plate appearances with
It's
walks and
nuts.
stuff. 15, almost 16, 15,890.
It's crazy. Crazy. Okay, so here's the trivia to the Pete Rose trivia question because I did not know this, but maybe you guys have heard this before. Do you know who gave him the Charlie Hustle nickname?
I thought I think I read somewhere it was Lou Piniella.
Good guess. It was a Yankee, but it wasn't Mickey. Or it was. Oh, geez, I just gave it away.
Was it? Oh, Mickey
it,
Mantle.
it was Mickey Mantle, and it wasn't a compliment. He was making fun of him for running out a walk in a spring training game,
Oh,
but it
okay. Yeah.
became a
Well,
term of
was Mickey
endearment over
even
time.
still playing? Was Mickey playing when he debuted? Yeah, he was.
And
Wow.
it's
He
crazy
debuted in
because you and
1963. I did not realize he was debuted that long before. Because I remember him prominently in the '80s, and that he was already 20 years in.
he was dude. I remember he was on. He was an ancient when he joined the Phillies, but he was still really good, and he played for another like 8 years. And he was on the first team that I really remember, which was the '80 Phillies World Series winner. And
He was
he was
39 years old.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. So yeah, and then one last thing, I want to read just a little paragraph of an article that by there's an LA Times columnist Jim Murray, who apparently was a legend. I don't know much about him, but he's a legendary columnist. And in his autobiography, he said about Pete Rose, he was what the game was meant to be, or how we perceive it to be. Rose was a ball player right off the Sunday Evening Post cover. Norman Rockwell invented him. Pete was as uncomplicated as a summer day, as instinctive as a hound dog. He was born to hunt, or in his case, play baseball. He never wanted to do anything else. He never could do anything else.
Wow.
That's Pete Rose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
time great.
that
Hall of Fame deserved for sure.
Yeah, man. Let's
one
get him in there now.
1,000%. 1,000.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, good call. That was your number 5, Craig?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so I read my number 5. My number 5 was Eddie Murray, and Pete's my number 4, so I'm out until at least 3. If
Did you
anybody
have
has.
Pete Jordan?
Uh, I did not.
Okay. So who
Yeah.
was your number 5?
My number 5 was
Okay,
Oh, okay.
so we're moving to 4.
yeah. My number 4 probably could have put him a little bit higher, but I think number 4 was good for him. I have Jimmy Fox as my number 4.
Aha.
All right, he's my number 2.
He is my number 2.
Okay.
Love it. Let's go about Jimmy. This is going to be fun.
Before we before I get into the stats, I found this quote. I found it hilarious. But this was Bill Dickey on Jimmy Fox. If I were catching blindfolded, I always knew when Jimmy Fox was. It was Jimmy Fox who connected. He hit the ball harder than anyone else.
Jordan, I love it. That's a great quote. And I hand wrote that quote out myself, too. I love it.
Yeah, so that I said I had to put it on.
Oh,
Um,
while we're in the quote section, and before you go on your full Jimmy Fox tangent, let me throw one quote back at you. Lefty Gomez said, and this was long after their careers, said, when Neil Armstrong first set foot on the moon, he and all the space scientists were puzzled by an unidentified white object. I knew immediately what it was. It was a home run that Jimmy Fox hit off me in 1937.
Jimmy Fox was an absolute beast.
He was.
yeah.
And by the way, that was one of his nicknames, the Beast, and
Yeah.
Double X.
Okay. Nice.
Jeez.
Also, I didn't know. I didn't realize. Um, this was he signed at the age of 16.
Yeah.
Started as a catcher, but then ended up going to first base just to make room. Put together 12 30 home run seasons and 13 100 RBI seasons.
Yep,
Um,
including one year where he hit 175
yeah. Um,
RBIs while batting 349.
That's insane.
yeah.
It's
He
insane.
also has 8, count them, 8 1,000 or better OPS seasons. And one,
Bonkers.
yeah, and a couple 1,100 and a couple 1,200 and one 1,200 OPS season, but he's got 8 of them.
Incredible. He
Yeah.
made his major league debut at 17 years, 6 months, and 9 days old.
Yep, 3 MVPs, 92 or 93 WAR, 534 home runs, and an OPS for his career over 1,000. He has a career 1,000 OPS.
Incredible. Incredible.
Yep. And then yeah, he made 9-time All Star, and he ended up winning the Triple Crown in 1933.
Yep, 3 MVP. Yeah, I already said that. 3 MVPs. Yep,
Yeah.
Incredible. Ted
won the world.
Williams.
Yep, won the World Series 2 times too.
Yes, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. He was on those great A's teams. One of the A's teams before they were dismantled and sold across the league.
And still remarkably consistent to what he's always been in those World Series wins. 4 home runs, 11 RBIs, a 344 batting average, a
Wow.
425 on base, and 1,000 OPS
Incredible. I mean, that's exactly who he is. Yeah, that's perfectly put. That's what you. I mean, that's amazing. That's the smart.
in 18 games.
That's incredible, man. That's
And
incredible.
then one more stat
Hmm?
on him. When he ended up retiring in 45, his 534 career home runs were second only to Babe Ruth and the most by any right-handed hitter in MLB history.
Yes, excellent, excellent stat. Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one.
Yeah, he's kind of forgotten. People don't mention him. He is literally a top. You can make a case for him being like a top five ever at any position, or top 10 anyway.
Yeah, he was amazing. I mean, I'm a big Jimmy Fox guy. He was one of those old school players I spent a lot of time reading about and playing with or what do you call it? Fake baseball cards. Put it that way. I remember my mom got me a set of classic cards one year, and I thought she spent $50,000 on it. And it was just reproductions, but they ended up
Right.
being
Well,
really
that's
cool,
actually
and I
how I
learned a
got a
lot
lot.
about these players from them.
Yeah, that's how I learned a lot about the older players too. I had got into old, well, again, not vintage, but there was like some throwback cards or whatever in
Yeah,
some of the sets I was doing, and I'm like, all right, who's this? And you read all about him, you're like, holy crap.
that's exactly what I was doing, man. Yes, and that's what led to my love of a lot of these guys, and Jimmy Fox was one of them. Two things on him, real quick from my end. One, we talked about Frank Home Run Baker in our third base discussion, and I mentioned it, and I want to mention it again since Jimmy came up. Home Run Baker is the guy that discovered Jimmy Fox.
Nice.
He
Nice,
found him,
I like
pulled him off the farm or whatever.
that.
um, and what was the other thing? Oh, and this great quote by Ted Williams, another a guy who doesn't say a whole lot of nice things about a lot of people. Ted Williams said, next to DiMaggio, he was the greatest player I ever saw.
Wow.
So that
That's
backs up what you were
nice.
saying, Craig, for sure.
Yeah. Absolute monster.
Absolute beast. Yep, love it. Great call.
Yep.
So we're moving to 4 now, right?
I
Well,
think
no,
that was Jordan's four. Do
that
you have
was
a four,
my
Craig?
four.
Oh,
Because
okay.
my four has
So,
been taken. I'm sorry. My four was Pete Rose.
all right. My 4 is a guy that I don't know why I never liked him. I did. I mean, I liked him fine, but I never paid. He was always in the other league uh, for a lot of his careers in the league, or he was on the West Coast,
Okay.
and I just never gravitated toward him. Your father absolutely loves him, Jordan, and I'm talking about Albert Pujols.
Right
I
on.
mean, he had 700 home runs. He can't be denied, but I never was a big Albert Pujols fan at all. I don't know
Right.
why.
We just
Well,
have those
so
things. I get it, But yeah, he's number three on my list, by the way. Jordan.
he's number three on mine, and I'm gonna take a quote from what Craig said in the last time we did a podcast where he said the Genexes like Yadier Molina. Well, the Genexes all like Albert Pujols. I am a huge fan of Albert Pujols.
Nice, nice.
I, I know, and I know definitely. I know your father is. He used to always talk about it so much, and I was always like, okay, eh,
That's awesome.
I
sure,
mean,
I guess.
yeah, I
I
mean,
love it. I love it. Oh, the nickname, by the way, was La Máquina.
Yeah, the machine. But I
Yep.
mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, hey, I said or whatever, and would say I'm never a big fan. He's number 4 on my list.
Totally, man.
yeah,
Totally.
I still think he's the number 4 best first baseman ever. So
Yeah, man. I get it.
obviously
I mean,
he's up there because his numbers can't be denied. 703 homers.
yes,
Yeah. I mean, that's insane. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is maybe I think I got this correct. It's the fourth all time.
Yeah,
in
yep.
Major
Three
League history.
MVPs. Three MVPs.
Hmm.
Here's another. My favorite stat that I found doing this: 10 straight 300 average, 30 home runs, and 100 RBIs. 10 straight years in a row.
That's
Nice.
crazy.
10 years in a row.
That's crazy, man.
At least, obviously, there was a year he had 47, another one he had 42,
And
but at least 30 home runs, at least 100 RBIs, and at least a 300 average for 10 straight years.
It's astonishing. It's
yes,
astonishing.
that's awesome. And then also it's crazy to even think about. Like, he's on the verge, well, definitely on the verge of being a first ballot Hall of Famer. And he was drafted in the 13th round,
Yeah.
which is
I didn't remember that. That's awesome. Good
yeah,
good.
he was drafted in the 13th round.
Yeah, when
Actually,
he came
originally,
up, he wasn't supposed to be anybody.
Yeah, he wasn't. I
yeah,
remember when he came up. He wasn't highly regarded. Yeah.
yeah, and then he
He
was
had
also
37 home runs.
Yeah.
and he also started as a third baseman
Yeah.
because around
Yep.
that time they still had McGuire, but then I you know history has put itself. He's one of the best third basemen out there. Also got to 700. And wasn't even accused or even considered as steroids, which I have all the respect for him to do it and to do it while I would say the last like 5 seasons of his career. I thought sooner or later he was going to retire, but he ended up doing it and got into 700 home runs, which is awesome. I love that for Pools.
Certainly a magic number, no doubt about it. Craig, what do you have? Because I know he was the NLCS MVP in '04. What do you have for playoff stats on this guy? Do you have anything there?
Yep. Stand by. Okay. Oh, he was in the playoffs a lot. He had 88 playoff games.
Wow, that's over half a season.
He
Wow.
won in '06 with St. Louis and in 11 with St.
Yep.
Louis.
Two-time winner.
Uh,
Um,
Yep.
Two-time winner. 19 playoff home runs, 54 RBIs, 319 average, 422 on base.
So he was himself.
Yeah, 995 OPS.
Wow. Wow. Yep.
Yep.
So he was himself. Incredible. Incredible.
and
Oh, did we say his WAR, by the way? Because it's pretty damn
It's
impressive.
it's 101.7.
Yeah.
That's a crazy war.
yeah,
Anything over 100, you're in the very elite
Even
company.
to be honest, over 90, you're
Yeah, no
you're
doubt, no
really
doubt.
in rare air,
The
rare
only one I
company.
remember being over 100 right off the top of my head on any of the positions we've done so far was Mike Schmidt was like 106 something.
Yeah, but wasn't
I can't remember. There were probably other ones. That's the only one I'm remembering.
yeah, somebody at third or second was crazy.
Schmidt was the guy at third.
Or maybe no, maybe it was short. Maybe it was like wasn't it Honus Wagner or something was like 140.
Oh, you might be right. Yeah, yeah.
It's something
That's a
stupid.
good call. That's a good call. Let's see. Yeah, Honus Wagner's 131. Yep.
damn.
I love that.
Uh,
Uh,
oh, also, here's some interesting stuff for you. I'm going to just say around the time he made his debut. I don't know if it's right, but I did read this somewhere. He was the first major league player to be born in 1980 at the time of his debut.
oh, the
Oh, that's interesting.
first '80s baby.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I thought that was kind of interesting as well.
That's a cool little stat. I like that. Nice.
They always bring that up whenever a new decade starts. They're always like, or yeah, they're always like, this is the first player from the '90s born. That's playing baseball.
Yeah, somebody
And
has a real.
I'm
There's a real predilection for New Year babies.
Yep,
Love it. I love it.
you know what was going through my mind though when I read that? Something Vince Scully would say.
absolutely.
Yeah.
While he misses three pitches in a row, while he tells the story,
Yep.
but that's okay.
Uh,
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, and by the way, real quick before we move on from Albert, we mentioned that he was fourth all time in home runs, but he's also second all time in RBIs,
Yeah,
2218.
over 2,000. Yep,
Incredible.
crazy.
yep.
Incredible.
So he was
All
your
right.
number two, Jordan.
Here's my number three.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he was my 3 as well.
All right, so he's my 4.
Okay.
Nice.
So then,
Al, your 4 was
Well,
taken or
yeah,
no?
4 was Pete Rose. So I am done until number 1,
Oh, okay.
and I have a feeling we're going to come in the same there. We'll see.
I think we're all going to have the same number 1, but
I have
we'll
a
see.
feeling.
okay.
So, what
Um,
do you guys have left other than that,
Well, I have.
I have one more before number 1 that I have to do.
Jordan?
Um, yeah, I have one more that we didn't talk about before we hit number one.
Okay.
Is he your number 3 or your number 2?
That was for my number two.
Okay.
All right, so my number 3 before we get to number 2 is Stan the Man.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Usual. He hit 300 or better 16 consecutive years in a row.
Incredible.
300 or better for 16 straight years. And you talk about a good war? His war was 128.5.
Oh
A
my god, that's
career
awesome.
417 on base.
Incredible. One of the best players of all
Wow.
time, period.
Yep.
And I'll just say this real quick. He is not on my list because he's an outfielder to me. But he,
Okay, I debated that, but he was on a more than I was. I looked at a few lists, and he was on more than one list. So
and it's
I at first, so I just put him
it's
in.
100% cool either way. He played 1,016 games. If you play over 1,000 games at a position, I'm fine with him being on a list. He played 2,046 in the outfield and 1,016 at first base. He can be whichever one you want him to be. So as long as he's on a list,
Yeah, because he deserves to be on there for
and
sure.
he might be in my top 10 players of all time.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Oh, I agree. You want to say that? Here's interesting. At the age of 41, he made a run for the batting title.
Yeah, bet at 330.
Yeah,
Nuts.
at 41 years old.
Incredible.
And Don Mattingly's favorite player ever.
Is he really? That's cool.
Yep, that's who he
Um,
modeled his game after growing up.
Albert
Three
Pujols said
time,
that's who he wants his kids to be like.
yep, 3-time MVP.
yep. Uh, this is something I didn't know, but I had to write down. He started as a pitcher
Oh, I didn't know that.
uh,
I
before
didn't know
he
that.
moved into the outfield. The reason he got moved to first base is because he ended up hurting his shoulder while playing outfield. So that's why they ended up moving him up into first base. Uh, I don't know if this is still accurate, but I just wrote it down. Has the NL record for hits, which is 3,630.
Hmm. Man,
And by the way, he also missed an entire season in the military. His age 24 season, he didn't play.
gee, that's incredible. With so many of these guys that played in that time frame, you have to factor that in, and it's
He had
nuts.
almost 4,000 hits too. He had 3,600 hits,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
475 home runs, almost 500 home runs, almost 2,000 RBIs, and almost 4,000 hits.
yeah, and managed to fight a war in between all that.
Yeah, I went to war. He even had 78 steals, which is not a ton, but that's something.
Right?
And here I go again with another one of these numbers that are just insane. On base, 425, 440, 434, 398, 450, 438, 437, 449, 432, 437, 428, 408,
That's
then
crazy.
380, then 422, 423.
That's insane.
And again, 380, 390 is pretty good. And these guys are well over 400.
What was his
Well,
career on base, Craig?
career on base 417.
Ah, that's amazing.
Wow, that's insane.
I love it.
Yep. The only reason why I went down a little bit because then he hung on a little bit too long. His age, 37, 38, 39 seasons, his on base. I mean, it still was not bad, but it suffered down to 360, 350, 370. And then the second to last year, we got back over 400, and then his last year, only 325. But that run of on base over 400 is insane.
It's
Yeah.
it's just cartoon numbers, man. That's incredible.
Oh, never struck out more than 40 times in a year.
That's not
Nice.
that's like Wade Boggs or Tony Gwynn stuff, but with power.
Yeah, there was a
Yep.
year he struck out 18 times.
That's how many home runs did he hit that year?
Um, 13. He was young. He's only 22
Oh,
years
so it was
old.
when he's coming
But
up, but still, that's
yeah, but he's still playing 157 games
incredible. Wow,
and had 701 plate appearances in the 18 strikeouts.
that's incredible, man. Absolutely freaking incredible.
Yeah, his high was 40, and not like 49. 40 was his high.
I mean,
And that year he hit 355.
like the numbers are just insane. It's just insane. A player as good as Albert Pujols said he wants his kids to be like him.
Yeah,
It's
there
wild.
you go. That's why I actually put him ahead of Pujols because of the crazy numbers, and Pujols is just kind of eh. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I know,
No,
I
but
love it.
I
That's
put him.
awesome.
I put him with because of the 16 years in a row over 300.
Yeah, that's listen.
That's
Yeah.
why.
You can put Stan the Man anywhere on any list, and I'm not going to
Now I
argue.
ask you. All right, I'll ask you then. You're going to put him in the outfield. If you put him on your list, where would you put him for first base?
Oh God, if he was on my list, he would have had to have been. Let me wait.
I have him at 3.
Let's see. I won't say one because we're getting there in a sec. My two. I don't think I. Who boy? He would. It would have been. He would have been 2 or 3. With I
Yep.
think I
No,
would have.
that's exactly what he is. He's 3 for
It
me.
would have been between who? What's Stan's WAR?
128.5.
Okay, so he would be 2 over Jimmy Fox.
I mean, it's insane. And by the way, that's the highest I've come across for this entire
Yeah,
exercise.
yeah.
This entire thing, the highest WAR, even higher than
Well, not
who I
higher than
assume
Honus
we all have
Wagner.
as number one. No, no, no. But number one at first base, who I know we have, his WAR is significant. It's 15 points higher than his.
Right on, right on. Wow, yeah,
It's the
totally
highest by far.
incredible. Wow, nuts.
Jordan, I know you're having him in the outfield too. Where would you put Stan if you were put him in at first?
No, actually, no. Stan was my number two.
Oh, I
Ah,
apologize. I didn't know that.
right on.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. You said that. You said that. You said that. I'm
yes,
sorry.
he was my number two on this list.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, so that means you need your number 3 then, right?
No, my number three was Bulls.
Oh, and 2 is him. Oh, so we're at 1. We're at 1 because
We're
my
at
number 2.
Yes,
one,
Bulls.
and it's
We
Yeah, my
are
obvious
at
that we
number
have
one.
the same guy who you take it, Jordan, or whoever wants to take it.
go ahead, Jordan.
Okay. All right. Number one, Lou Gehrig.
Boom.
Absolutely.
The Iron Horse.
Yep. And I mean, what can you say about Lou Gehrig? Well, second on most consecutive games, which was 2,130 consecutive games played. Uh, he scored more than 100 runs and 100 RBIs for 13 straight years. Set an AL record for RBIs in 31 for 185. Won the 34 Triple Crown, where he ended up hitting 363, 49 home runs, and 166 RBIs. And then obviously you have to bring it up when he on here by on May 2nd, 1939, took himself out of the lineup, and that's when he realized he had
Yeah, the only
the
reason why
disease.
he stopped the streak was because he got sick.
Yep.
Yep,
I mean, that's crazy. He would have kept going, I'm sure.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see how long it would have gone if it wasn't the disease that killed him a couple of years later took him out.
He,
You know.
I mean,
yep.
he was a home run guy, obviously, but even more than the home runs, the RBIs.
Yep.
Dear Lord, uh, of the top 6 RBI seasons of all time, Gehrig has 3 of them.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
In 1927, hitting behind Ruth, who had 60 home runs, Gehrig drove in 175 runs.
That's incredible. That is insane. I mean, it's absolutely insane, those numbers.
Yep.
Oh my God,
Absolutely
it's
insane.
crazy.
Yeah, he was the first. This was a cool stat to me. A little trivia tidbit, anyway. He was the first U.S. pro athlete to have his number retired in any sport.
Really?
Yep. They did it
Did
on
not know that.
the day he gave the speech on Lou Gehrig Day. They retired his number 4.
By the way, greatest sports speech ever.
Oh yeah, man! And it's just a
Yes.
shame it doesn't exist in its entirety, so you can listen to it. At least some clips
Yeah.
survived, but I mean, it's got to be right. I mean, it's one of right there with "Let's win one for the Gipper" in football.
Oh, and also the nickname Iron Horse.
Yeah, the Iron Horse, and he had the Iron Horse is definitely the go-to big nickname. But I found another one that I hadn't heard before called Hungry Lou.
Nice.
Hungry Lou Gehrig. I thought that was cool too, but Iron Horse is the one.
11
Oh yeah.
straight years, 11 years in a row with an OPS over 1,000.
That's nuts.
Wow.
That's
Nice.
nuts. His career OPS was 1.080.
He went over 170 RBIs 3 times.
That's crazy.
He had 173. Well, here's the streak: 109, 173, 147, 125, 173 again, 185, 185, 151, 140, 166, 120, 152, 158, and then 114, and then the next year is when he got sick.
Insane.
Over 400 on base just about every single year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Looks like 14 years in a row over 400. He was never under 400,
That is just bonkers, man. It really
except
is.
for 1925 when he was young. He was 360. Yep.
By the way, he's a real
Yeah.
quick. He's a two-time MVP who won the. You said he won the Triple Crown in '34. He lost the MVP. Finished 5th in the MVP voting the year he won the Triple Crown, which I think that was probably Yankee voter fatigue, maybe at that point or something. Um,
Yeah.
but man, that's quite to win the Triple Crown and not just finish second, but finish 5th in the MVP voting is so
Well,
weird.
he was top 5 in the MVP voting 9 times.
That's absolutely out of this world.
Career OPS over 1,000 and a 113 WAR, which is 15 behind Musial. But uh, even runs, he scored 160 runs one year. 2 years, I'm looking. 2 years he scored that many runs. Walking over 100 times. Just, I mean, one of the best players ever. Period. Of just not position, just ever.
Oh, and Craig, to go with your postseason thing that you've been on this whole time, which I love, he has the second best postseason batting average of all time, 361.
Yeah, and it's on base for on the postseason 483
That's
with it for a
crazy.
1,200 postseason OPS, 10 home runs in 34 games,
Man. Man.
and 35 RBIs, more RBIs than games played.
Yeah. And they didn't have to go through playoffs back then. They went just went right to
It
the
was
World
just the
Series.
World Series. Yep.
So that's how many World Series he played in to play that many games. It's incredible.
He played in one, two, three, four, five, six, seven,
Wow.
and he won 6 of them.
Incredible. Incredible. Check out this stat. 1936, he had 690 plate appearances, hit 49 home runs, and struck out 31 times.
Yeah, I mean that's back when striking out was a no no. You couldn't do it.
Incredible.
I'm surprised he actually has a year where he hit 84. He had 84 strikeouts.
Yeah, and that was an exorbitant back then.
Right, but he had 47 home runs and 173 RBIs and a 373 average.
Oh man. Oh,
That's the thing too. He batted 373 and 374 back to back years.
that's ah. Yeah, he was so good, man. So good. I mean, his lifetime batting average is 340 for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I have one thing,
Jordan, you have anything to add? Oh, go ahead.
real quick. I just want to read this quote by Joe DiMaggio about the old Iron Horse Lou. Said he was the type, or Gehrig was the type of ball player to command respect, even if you weren't his teammate. To see his broad back and muscular arms as he spread himself across the plate was to give the impression of power as no other ball player I ever saw gave it. I not only admired Lou, but I was amazed by him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was
I
amazing.
agree.
I love Joe D quotes because he was such a classy dude. It's like, you know.
Um, yeah, no, I mean, well, like you said, I think we're probably, even though while a lot of people say he was outshined by Ruth, uh, probably definitely one of the best duos in
Oh,
history.
that is the best duo. I
Yeah,
can't. You can't.
You know,
Who are you gonna put over them?
can't even
you
imagine.
know, they, yeah, they're it was so good, and like you said, I only wish he didn't get sick because I would have loved to see how long this his consecutive games would have continued to go on. Like how
And he
long?
probably would have played another 3 years at least. I mean, he was 36 when he got sick.
Yep.
He probably could have got through. And that season he didn't do anything. He barely played. Just season just started, so he would have had a whole year at being 36, coming off a year in which he just hit. Uh, he hit 30 home runs and 114 RBIs. So if he was around that for another couple of years, he would just been padding those stats more and more.
Yeah.
He would have gotten over 500 home runs. He would have gotten over 2,000 RBIs. He probably would have got to 3,000 hits or close to it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you would have got all that stuff. Yep, absolutely.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. No, this guy was the real deal. It's nice when
I mean,
legends live up to facts, and there's nothing you can find in the facts about Lou Gehrig to put a dent in his legend.
he's got three things that he's a part of that is just iconic: Murderer's Row,
Mm-hmm.
the streak, and the speech.
Yeah, yeah,
That's all
absolutely.
Lou
Yep.
Gehrig.
Absolutely. Incredible.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Does three? Somebody put does 300, 431 on base, 584 slugging season sound like an all time great year to you? That's Lou Gehrig's 1929, and it was his lowest, one of his lowest. It was a down year
It
for
was a
him.
down
That's
year.
what they said.
Wow.
Oh, that's
Down year,
awesome.
1929.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
No.
127 runs, 125 RBIs, 35 homers, batted 300, 430 on base, 1,000 OPS. Down year.
Incredible. That's amazing, man. That really is. That is.
To be honest, though, if you look at it, it is. It's kind of
It
a down
is.
year
Yeah, yeah.
compared to everything else.
Anybody else would sign up for it every year right now.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
Oh, incredible, man.
So that was the easiest of this list. The other nine were really hard, but number one was not.
I was with, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
That was easy, and then it was like, oh God, what do I do after this? Oh, so we didn't talk
Uh,
about the people that we left off. I guess that's probably where we're heading next. I just realized that we still have to do that.
Oh,
yeah. Yes.
well, I have Killebrew and McCovey on mine that we already went over. Um, and the rest we have not touched on. So I'll start it. My first one that was really close to getting on the list was Hank Greenberg,
Yep, he's on my close list too.
Hmm.
and the reason why is he lost his 4 prime years in the war.
Yeah.
4 complete seasons gone.
Yep.
And like in most of another season, so almost 5 years. It was like 4.5 years completely gone right in his 20s.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a shame. And yes, and I'm with you on that 100%.
But while he was in there, an OPS over 1,000, 2 MVPs, 313 batting average, 412 on base, 55 WAR, which is a little lower than you would think. But
Well, here's
yeah,
the thing with war
333.
that real quick, Craig. Here's the thing with war
Yep,
that I have figured out because it's so I always use the word nebulous. But here's one thing I have figured out: your war grows as you play. So him losing those years cost him war.
yep,
You don't
yep.
just get like a monster war for having 4 great years. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's yeah,
Cumulative.
adds up. Cumulative. Thank you. That's what I was trying to say.
Nice, nice. But I'm with you 100% on Hank, man. That's a great call.
Yeah, I think he definitely would be way higher up on the list and way higher considered if he didn't have those, if he didn't lose those years.
No doubt. No doubt.
I mean, I'm sorry, it wasn't in his 20s. It was age 31, 32, 33. And actually, most of his age 30 year, he only played 19 games.
Wow.
And most of his age 34 year, he only played 78 games.
And that's a big heaping helping of his prime. No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, baseball, usually the prime's a little later. It's like 28 to 32. That he was gone for almost all that.
No doubt. No, that's a great call, man. Yeah, he got hammered by that wartime thing, and he was awesome.
And he's got 184 RBI season, and he's got a 58 home run season.
Yeah, he was no joke, man. No joke.
And over 400 on base every year, except for the end.
I love that. Yeah, Hank was awesome. That's a great call.
Jordan, did you have Hank on your possibilities or?
Yes, I did.
Do you have anybody you
All
want to throw
right.
out next, Jordan, or you want me to go? You go ahead if you like. If you have
Uh,
somebody,
Actually, I do have one.
go for
I was considering, but um, I didn't really know um where I should put him in, and but looking back at his numbers, I kind of agree I did. I actually considered Orlando Cepeda.
it. Oh no, that's a great one.
That is a great one.
I considered on putting him in. Um, I was actually just um I don't know. I felt like he was just great. He was so good. With his stats, 2,351 hits, 379 home runs, and 1,369 RBIs. Um, it doesn't give up the WAR, but the
I got
on
his war for some reason only 50.1,
yeah,
which is
and
a little
but
surprising. But other than that,
yeah, and then but yeah, I was considering him very great hitter during his time, especially with the Giants. And yeah, he was so close, but couldn't put
yeah,
him on.
I agree. I considered him, um, but I even forgot to write him down for my possibilities. But yeah, the low war is what got me a little bit. In his numbers, while obviously fantastic in a Hall of Famer, just a notch below some of these other guys. But definitely a great guy, and I'm glad we mentioned him.
Yeah, me too. He wasn't on my just missed list either, but he very well could have been, and he was awesome. So I'm with you on that, Jordan. Great call. Great call.
Yep.
All right. Well, the next one for me, and this would be to me, and see if you guys can guess who I'm talking about based on how I describe him. I bet you can. To me, he would be the Ozzie Smith or the Brooks Robinson of first base.
Oh, I don't know if I'm going to get this.
Jordan, you want to take a shot, or should I tell you?
Uh, yeah, I would say Tony.
Keith Hernandez.
Boom.
Oh, okay.
Boom. Best first baseman fielder I ever saw, and it's not close.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Definitely one of the best defensively. Yeah, I'll agree.
Now, his offensive
Yep.
stats are better than I thought they were based on his rep as a player, but they're not good enough to get onto this freaking monster first baseman list. 821 OPS for the career, batted 296, but only had 162 home runs and stuff. So, to me, best defensive first baseman I ever saw, but just not quite enough offense to get on the list. His WAR was 60.3, so you can make a case. That's right about where some of the guys that were on our list on the lower end were, but just didn't quite make it for me.
How about this 42nd round pick?
Yeah, that's bonkers, man. That's right around Piazza territory almost.
Yeah, I think Mattingly too was like 35 or something.
Wow,
35th rounder.
wow. And by the way, Mattingly was on here for me too because you guys both had him in, and I'll mention that real quick later
Oh,
on.
I didn't have him in, but
Oh, you
I
didn't
had
either.
him on
That's
there
right. I'm
also.
sorry. Yes.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Who
Um,
else for you, Craig?
um, I went way back, old school. Uh, Buck Leonard from the Negro
Going to
Leagues.
be the next guy I mentioned. That's awesome. I wanted to put him on the list so bad, but I just couldn't do
OPS well over 1,000. 346 career average and a 453 career on base.
it.
More than anything, I just want to mention him,
Yes.
just to get his name out there.
So with you. I love that. Always scour the Negro Leagues when we do this list. And the thing that's so hard about the Negro League guys is they just they didn't keep track of their games very well, and so there's a limited amount.
Right.
There's much more numbers out there than the numbers that we have, but they just didn't
Right.
track
I
them.
mean, so many seasons you look and they're like playing like 31 games or something.
Yes, and in actuality, the dude was probably playing 240 games a year or something, barnstorming all over the country. But
Yeah.
they just didn't keep track of it like Major League Baseball back then. So yeah, this is the guy. This is the clear number one first baseman from the Negro Leagues, and I'm glad you brought him up because I was going to bring him up if you hadn't. That's awesome.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Jordan, you have another one next?
Um, yeah, I do. I don't know. I couldn't put it on, but I did strongly consider putting in Fred McGriff.
Oh, the
He was
crime dog.
close.
I strongly considered putting him on, but yeah, I just I don't know. I just for some reason I couldn't. Not that he was a bad player. I couldn't put him on the list.
No, I
No,
get that you consider he wasn't on my close list, but he maybe should have been. Now that you brought him up, but he was
he was going to be my next one.
he was so steady, man. He was like steady Eddie, like Eddie Murray, but
Yeah,
just steady, 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 man. Absolutely great call.
Yep, I totally agree. Um, Another guy that your dad loves, Jordan, almost made my
Oh,
list.
real quick, I didn't go yet, Craig.
Oh, I'm
Sorry,
sorry. I'm
buddy. No
sorry.
worries. And just in case you're going to say the same guy I do, who is? Do you? Oh, wait, no, you go first because there's no way in hell you're going to talk about the guy I was going to bring up. So you go first.
All right. I was talking about Joey Votto.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. He's on my list, but not the guy I was going to bring up next. And I'm with you.
I mean,
Listen to his on base
Yeah,
percentage is
isn't
stupid. 414, 424, 416, 474, 435. He had a down year 390, 459, 443, 34, 454, and 417
insane,
for a career 409 on base percentage.
incredible, dude.
that's insane.
It really
Led the league
is.
in walks 5 times. Uh, didn't have crazy power numbers, but still compiled 356. Had a 36 home run year.
Mm.
Played, rarely got hurt. Played a lot of games, 140 or more. Towards the end, he got hurt, but for the most part, played in 140 or more for the better part of his career. And he was so good and had such bat control
Yeah.
that he would mess around with pitchers, and like he was such a thinker. He would. I heard a story, and I don't even know if this is true, because in a way, it's kind of like almost throwing a game. But he faced a closer and purposely struck out against him
Why?
because later in the year they were going to play him at the end of the year when the division might be on the line, and he did, and he got it, and he killed him.
Oh my god! If that's true, that's one of the craziest and coolest and smart, like chess game,
It was
long game
it
thinking.
was an early game. It was like May or June, and he knew they were going to be around, possibly in the playoffs or a late series that was going to be much more important then. And he he struck out against him on purpose because he knew he would throw that pitch again in the same situation, and it was like a 3-2 count, and then he worked the count to 3-2. The guy threw the pitch again, and he crushed it.
That's one of the best things I've ever heard. I love it.
That's awesome.
That's so
I like
cool.
that.
That is so cool.
I heard there's other stuff like that. I don't know any other specific ones, but apparently there's a lot of Joey Votto stories out there of, like you said, playing the long chess game.
That's
And
such a good story, man. I love that you brought that up. That's so awesome.
there's a season also where he popped up like as a pop out. Uh, I think it was 3 times in the entire season.
Mm-hmm. What?
Oh, nice.
Bonkers. Yeah, he was
Three,
something else, man. Like,
yeah,
whew.
yeah,
And that on base percentage stuff is, I mean, he was the king of his era. I mean, just on base
without question, yeah.
on base
Yeah,
machine.
I agree.
I think what hurt him and probably why he didn't make any of our lists is he had a long, slow decline. Um,
Yeah, yep, yep.
but that prime was magical, man, and it was a good long prime. I mean, he's. Do you think he's a Hall of Famer?
He's close. I mean, he only had 2,100 hits though.
Yeah, like his counting stats are on the edge, but he had some like his OPS is Hall of Fame worthy without question. But
Yeah, 920.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's one I'd
I
have to
don't know if
look at a
he'd be
lot
a
of
Hall of
things to
Famer,
think
but
about. Yeah,
his WAR is 64, which is solid but not great.
right.
But from his age 25 season to his age 35 season, it's hard to find anybody better. Definitely in terms of on base.
Yeah. No, it was an epic 10-year run, man. No doubt about it. And that's why he made our just outside of it list. No, he was. I love Joey Votto. He was awesome.
Well, even after age 35, he still had some solid years. He had one
He
year,
had one really good
his
year.
age, yeah, his age 37 season, he had 36 home runs and 99 RBIs.
Yeah, and that was after going 12, 15, and 11 the previous 3 seasons.
Yeah,
And then it was all of a sudden, I remember that because it was like, Votto became an afterthought in fantasy after being a top
yeah.
three,
And then out
four
of
first
nowhere, he
baseman for
hits
a
36
decade.
bombs again.
Yep. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's like, boom, Votto's back. You're like, what happened? I mean,
But then he went,
that's tied for the second highest home run total of his whole career.
yeah. And then he went right back down. He had 11 the year after that, then 14, and then he was done.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Even when he was batting 202, though, his on base percentage was still 314.
Yeah, well over 100 points higher.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. Great call, man. Great call. Do you have anything on that, Jordan, before we move on?
Yeah, no, I like Votto.
Did your dad
That
ever mention him? He loved him, man.
oh no,
Votto was one of your dad's favorites.
my dad liked a lot of people. He was very, very, very high on it. Actually, you know what? Because we're on the category. He also, in I mean, I'll get off topic, but he also really liked Prince Fielder as well. He loved Prince
Yes.
Fielder.
Oh, Prince.
Yep.
But
Prince
yeah, no,
Fielder, to me, the only thing about him that is he kind of like underwhelmed. He should have been better.
Well, his
yeah,
talk
Like
about a
you would
short
think he,
prime.
when he first came up, you would think he would be on this list.
His prime was so short.
Yep.
yeah.
It was an awesome
Um,
prime, but it was crazy short.
Then he became a vegetarian and he sapped all his power.
Yeah, that's right.
It really did.
That's
I mean,
right.
there's a distinct line of demarcation of him becoming a vegetarian and his power just leaving him.
Yeah, isn't that so funny? And I remember that too, man. You're right. I mean,
yeah.
that's priceless.
Um, but no. Back on Votto. No, I do like Votto. I for the Hall of Fame. I don't know. I'm up and down, but then
I would say probably no.
yeah, but then I look at the guys that are in the Hall of Fame, and then
Yeah,
they make him look good. Like Harold Baines is in the Hall of Fame.
right.
So,
The thing is,
Joe Mount.
he played 11 games in the postseason and he did not. He wilted a little bit.
Did he?
He had no home runs, one RBI, and a 240 average
Oh wow. Okay.
in 11 playoff games.
But what was his on base percentage?
319.
Oh, that's even low, even for him. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Um,
He did not bring his
but
normal self to the
He didn't
playoffs.
even have a 600 OPS.
so
Man, that's
I'll
wow.
say
Okay, that's
yeah.
dramatic. Yeah.
I'll say no. Maybe I don't know. I think he could have played better, but no. Votto was a smart player. I
That
really
story is the one I always tell that story when Joey Votto's name comes up
yeah.
because I think that's
Well,
insane.
Yeah, that's
from
awesome.
he was also one of the guys that really choked up on the bat when he was down,
Yeah,
and he did amazing stuff. He was a smart player.
Smart player, very old school in that regard, and I loved it. Yeah, I'm with
Yep, me too.
you.
yep. And he has an MVP, and
Yeah,
he came in second. He came in second another time, and third another time after that. Yeah, he's close. He's close.
yeah, he's right there. Like
Yeah.
a good comp for him is probably one of the guys that just got in. There's different players, but it's numbers worth comparing, and that's Dick Allen.
Yeah.
It took Dick
Yep.
Allen 40 years to get in, but he got in.
Right. So maybe when Votto's 80, he'll be in there.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome. All right. So let me give you the one that I didn't think. I'm curious if anybody has this guy on their list. This is an old school guy. This is another guy that got really affected by the World War II, Craig. And that is Johnny Mize.
Yes.
He did
Yes.
make yours. Okay, great, great.
Well, no, he didn't make mine,
Oh, okay.
but I should. Now that you say it, I'm like, God, I should have
But
put
you
him
know
in.
who I mean, obviously. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So give you some Johnny Mize stuff, man. I mean, this guy, he had a 70.6 WAR, which is pretty astonishing given that he missed 3 full seasons due to the war: 43, 44, 45. And those were his ages 30, 31, and 32 seasons, right in his freaking prime. But even all that being said, career batting average 312, on base 397, OPS 959. Where's the home runs? 359. Is that exactly Joey Votto? 359. I could be wrong. Probably wrong. 1337 RBIs. Um, just a beast, man. And he missed 3 of his best seasons. So, I just he's so 10-time All-Star, 5-time World Series. I mean, geez. So, yeah, that's a guy I wanted to mention for sure.
I agree. I'm glad you mentioned him.
Awesome.
359. I think I went off the page.
I did too.
I think Votto at 356.
Okay.
Pretty close, but let me
Dude,
see if I have it. We can get back to it.
356. Good memory.
Okay, there you go.
So 359 to 356. Yeah, that's pretty close.
Pretty
Wow.
close.
Huh.
Um, Jordan, do you have anybody you want to mention? I have 2, but I don't really even need to talk about them that much. They're still active, and that's why I didn't put them on there. And
uh,
plus, because they're active, their numbers aren't complete
Yeah.
or not there yet. But I just wrote in without any stats, just Freddie Freeman and Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah, and I'm with you on
oh,
both of those.
absolutely.
With you on both
Yeah,
of those.
Yeah, but
same.
not yet, not yet.
I'm with you. For me, I'm just like you're just blanket eliminating steroid era guys, Craig, and I'm kind of with you there. Um, uh, I'm straight up just not putting people that are still playing on these lists yet. And if we were going to, those are the guys.
Yep. And I did mention Jeff Bagwell, although he does have the steroid thing too. But there's only 3 30-30 seasons by a first baseman, and he's got 2 of them.
Yeah. No, he was one of my last 2. I have one other than him, and
And he's an MVP, but I'm not sure about the steroid thing on him. I'm
he
not
never
sure if it
got
would
caught.
ever.
But
Right.
Yeah.
the article I read said the quote was Bagwell never got caught, but the stink is heavy upon him.
Yes, and it's true because he looked like it.
Yeah,
There's a
Yeah.
look sometimes, and he had the look.
and he was also teammates with Ken Caminiti.
Who was
And
roid rage.
I don't like to do guilt by association, but they were certainly available in that locker room.
But that's it. That actually completes my list. I'm done.
And my last one, real quick, and I've talked about him before and a little bit a couple minutes ago, so I won't make it a big thing. Dick Allen.
Yep.
Yep.
Just not quite enough counting stats to get him into the top 10, but he was awesome.
Totally agree.
I agree with all of those. Those are good picks that just missed.
Awesome. Well, this was fun, man. Holy crap.
Oh, so actually, before we close it off, I want to get you guys' opinion on something. I want to do it on the pod, not before, not after. I want to do it on the pod. So I think it also fits the theme. Okay.
Love it.
So every year, MLB does a top 10 right now.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Stay
I think
baby.
you know. I think you know I'm going. I took pictures because I wanted to get you guys' opinions on this. I think it's awful. It's their every time they start that they always have to specify that this was through a machine
Oh, okay.
that they. So it's just random. So they've done 3 so far. I'm gonna go by the list, and I want you to let you know what you think, because I think there are so many people out of place in here that I had to put it on the podcast. So the first one they did was center fielder,
Okay.
right? I'll just give you the top 10, and then you could tell me what you think it's wrong.
Okay.
Number 10 is Luis Robert Jr. from the White Sox. O'Neill Cruz,
Yep.
Garrett Mitchell, Dalton Varsho, Brandon Marsh is number 6, and the top 5: Mike Trout, Michael Harris, Buxton, Jackson Merrill, and Julio Rodriguez is number 1.
Well, I don't know in terms of a lot of their defensive metrics. I don't know how well their defensive metrics measure up because center field you got to be you got to be able to play that. That's a big defensive position as much as it is an offensive one.
Right.
You're kind of the lord and commander of the outfield. And to be honest, I don't. If defense is going to be weighed heavily, I don't think Trout should be in there anymore because he can't move.
And he doesn't play.
He barely
I mean,
plays, so I
Byron
wouldn't
Buxton
put
shouldn't be
Trout.
on this list either. Very,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
wouldn't put Trout on the list. I wouldn't even put him in the top 10.
I wouldn't put.
But
I'm right there with you, and I would say the same thing about Byron Buxton.
the other guys, some of them I just don't really know too much about, and I don't know what their defense is. But yeah, some of those names you were a little surprising.
Very.
Uh, yeah,
Right.
Julio Rodriguez. He doesn't he also play left?
Yeah, because it surprised me to hear him as a center fielder. I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've known he's played center field, but he's struggled.
Yeah, unless they specifically said like he's going to play center this coming year.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
That's why maybe they did. Maybe they said he's our center fielder. But yeah, he's not a great center fielder, but he is a great hitter. He had a down year, but I still think he's pretty elite.
yeah.
Right.
I would take him. I think who was 2 and 3 again?
Uh, three was, I believe, Buxton,
Yeah, no way,
and
no way.
and two was Jackson Muriel of the
Oh yeah, the
like
Padres.
yeah.
And I'm a
I
fan
love
of
that guy.
his.
Yes, I love that guy. The thing is with Buxton, when he plays, he's good, and his outfield defense is very good. He's just always hurt.
Yeah,
That's
he's
his
just
problem.
Yeah.
and I will say he played more games this season than he has in a long time, but that was still,
Right, and he sucked.
but it was,
And he sucked.
and he was not good, and that amount of games was only 100.
Right. But the thing is, what was weird is in the years past when he would miss games, when he would come back, he'd be awesome
Yeah,
Hmm.
offensively. He was really, really good, and played great defense too.
yep,
When he did play this year, he played more than he ever did, and he was terrible.
yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no way he would be anywhere near the top 5 on this list for me. No way.
Right. Um.
Jackson Merrill, I like. I would put him at 2 behind Julio. If we're going to count him as a center fielder, if we're just going by the guys they gave us, it would be Rodriguez, Merrill, 1, 2 for me.
Yep,
Okay.
I agree.
Um. So then the second list they did was relievers, which
Ooh, and
I don't know. This one makes no sense to me.
Is it just closers or is it relievers in general?
So it's a mixture of both.
They should do.
makes it
They
so
should
hard.
do
Yeah,
closers.
But my thing is that they think they should separate it, do a reliever and then
I
closers.
agree.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah, yep.
Yeah. But half of these guys are one not even signed, and then I think almost all of them are closers. So which makes no sense to me. But I'll give you the top 10. Iglesias from Atlanta is number 10. Then you have Jeff Hoffman. Kirby Yates is number 8.
That's awful.
Yeah. Tanner Scott is 7.
Well, he should even be maybe even higher.
Yeah. Edwin Ukita from Tampa.
I have to plead ignorance there.
Yep.
Mason Miller is number 5.
Mason Miller's
And
pretty
this
awesome. I'd have to look at his numbers this year.
and this is where I have a problem. Emil Clase is number 4.
4.
Yeah. Followed by, this is the top 3. Ryan Helsley of St. Louis is number 3. Followed by Cade Smith, who was the setup man for Emil Clase. And then, as you could guess, number 1 was Devin Williams.
Well, I am a big Devin
Um,
Williams guy, but you kind of have to give it to Class this year. Or how we say his name?
Class A.
Class A.
I don't like that list. I
I
don't
would
like.
put him. I would put Class A number 2. If it's all closers other than Cade Smith, I probably wouldn't put. I'd put him like 8 or 9, and I would move up Mason Miller to number 3.
Who's your number 1 over Class A?
I would still probably put Devin Williams.
Okay, because
Yeah.
He's
I
been the
love
most
Devin. I
consistent.
just the
I mean, not to be a Yankee homer, but he has been the most consistent. He's pretty. He's been good for a few years
oh, he's
now, and
awesome.
he's
He's my
right
favorite
there.
reliever in the game. I was just thinking if we were going off this year, that astonishing amount of saves, I might have to give it to Class A right now. You know.
Right.
Right.
And it's funny the Houston closer there was not there. Why can't I think of
Hey,
his name?
Oh,
Hater.
Who? Yeah, Hader was not there.
yeah. Well,
Right.
he wasn't that good. he
But
He has been fading and fading and fading.
Yeah,
Honestly, a little surprised they didn't put Luke Weaver on there, like at like 10 or 9.
that's yeah.
His
I don't.
year was fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. And then I want to do the last list, which they did
By the
yesterday.
way, real quick, Jordan, I'm sorry. I just have to throw out there that Jeff Hoffman, number 9 guy, is the guy I kept talking about in the Phillies. And he is still out there as a free agent. And
Yeah, he needs to get signed. He's really good.
he is awesome. And
Yeah.
he's not coming back to the Phillies by all accounts, and it bums me out. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I had to say that. Go ahead.
No, no, you're good. Okay, so here's the top 10 catcher, which eh, um, Austin Austin Wells is number 10.
Okay.
Sean Murphy is number 9. Alejandro Kirk is number 8. Followed by Gabriel Moreno from Arizona.
Yep.
Yaner Diaz is number 6. JT Realmuto is number 5. Cal
Ru-
Ralgif,
Raleigh.
yeah,
Raleigh.
Riley. Cal Riley is number 4. Then your number 3, which I don't know, I hate this. Will Smith. Will Smith is number 3. Ali Wutchman is 2. And then you have a guy who's never been on a top 10 before. William Contreras is the number 1 catcher right now.
Weird. Ali Rushman was number 2.
Yes,
I'd
Where,
probably put him on.
where's Salvador Perez?
he's not on the list. And that's what kind of gets me mad.
How is he not on the? Did he have he had a good year? Didn't he? A decent year, right?
Yes.
I mean, maybe not a career year, but a decent year. How could he possibly not be on the list? Like that
I,
invalidates
Yeah.
the whole list to me right off the bat.
Yeah.
I mean, he had
Yep.
27 home runs, 104 RBIs, and batted 271 this year. He also had 590 at bats, which means he probably played 30, 40 more games than almost any other catcher in the
yeah,
league. He played
right.
158 games.
Yeah. He played a lot of
He
DH. He
DHs,
played
but
a
he still
lot of DH.
catches a lot, doesn't he? Or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's probably 100 games catching and 50 games DH.
Yeah, that's pretty much what guys do
It's
when they're just catching anyway. So
I don't know. Yeah, I don't. I just want to get that list to you because I want to see what you guys
Yeah,
felt.
the fact that he's not on there that's
it
really
just
really
invalidates. I
bad.
can't even get past that. Like,
Yeah,
I love JT Realmuto, but he was hurt this year. He had a down year. Salvador Perez, JT should be on that list in the somewhere around where he was probably, but Salvador should be above him and a bunch of
Mhm.
other people on that list, probably number 1 or close to it. Huh.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yep,
But they, this is also another thing. Like they're, I mean, I want to say you guys are, but they're like highly on sabermetrics,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what like it makes the list. But I'm like, it still makes no sense. Like,
yeah. You got to use some common
Well,
sense.
yeah,
Sabermetrics
If your
loves OPS.
sabermetric,
It
if your
means it.
sabermetrics numbers don't put him on there, you just put him on there anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
but
Oh.
of course because this is I can't stand the guy. That Brian Kenny runs the show, and he says, "Oh, it's put through a quote unquote machine, and that's how they determine the top 10." Which I'm like, that BS.
Yeah, I like Kenny has his he's a stat guy, and I respect it at a certain level, but he's an arrogant guy, and he refuses to bend, and so well, he's perfect for using machines.
Yes.
Yeah, he's big into it. Like he criticizes anybody who doesn't swear by the sabermetrics.
Yeah, it's silly because listen, they are not. We know now, 30 or 25 years into this whole thing, we know that it's not the be all end all. We know it's very
Right.
useful, but it's not the be
Yeah.
all end all. If it
No.
was, the A's would have won a bunch of championships.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Like I remember watching this show for like the first 5 years, and they had that. Oh my god, what the hell is that dude's name? Um, the dude that's like highly on sabermetrics.
Bill James?
Yes, they had him for like 5 straight years, but they took him off because fans started complaining. And like, dude, we don't give a shit. Like, please get off my screen.
That's so funny, man. Yeah, Bill James is a an interesting character in the history of baseball. He changed the way people look at the game statistically, and but he's not very exciting to listen to.
No, absolutely.
But he's the only reason we're talking about OPS and WHIP right now.
Yeah.
What was there one more position with that stuff, Jordan, or was that it?
Oh no, so that's the only 3 they've done
Okay.
so far. They'll be
Oh,
doing.
he played a lot of first base this past year.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he had 91 games catching and 49 games at first.
Okay, but 91 is still enough to count as a catcher in my book, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's what I was looking for. I was looking for the games played by position. It's not easy to find, but yeah, I found it.
Yeah. No, so but I think within this next coming week they'll do pitcher, first base, and something else I don't remember.
well. Next time we do whatever position we're going to do, let's go over them again because that was fun and ridiculous.
Yep.
Yep,
Well, since you mentioned it, next position, second base.
Ooh, all right.
sounds good.
I'm in.
And so we'll do that next time. Whenever
So what
whenever it's
have
good
we
for you
done
guys.
now? We've done catcher, short, first, and third.
Yep.
Yes.
So this will get us out of the outfield, out of the infield.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Boom. We're
So
knocking
we'll
them out
do.
one at a time.
All right.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's fun. I enjoy it. And then, like you said, hopefully we'll do it. We'll do it soon.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we'll find a date and we'll do top 10 greatest second baseman.
You count me in as always, man. I'm down. And let me ask you guys this: don't say who it is if you have an answer. But I don't. Do you have an obvious number one coming into your head? I don't.
I don't.
Okay, Jordan.
Well, he already
Oh,
did
he
it,
did
right,
it.
Jordan?
Okay, don't
Yeah, yeah,
answer. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because I was trying to because we were we talked about how Garrett was the obvious number one here. I don't have maybe when I look at it I'll find somebody, but not off the top of my head.
Yep. Same thing. Exactly.
Right on, right on.
All right. Well,
All right. Cool.
yeah, we'll wrap it up. And, thank you guys for joining me. It's been fun, as always. And, yeah, hopefully we could do second baseman within, very soon.
Absolutely, I'm in. Count me in.
I'm on board. Yep.
Thanks for
All
having
right.
me as always.
No problem. Thank you guys for joining me. And that will wrap it up. And I will see you all in the next one.